Don't worry. If it makes you feel any better, I look like this, so it's okay. Don't worry. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pucking Mad podcast. I'm joined today by Jake Oakley of the Sheffield Steelkings. It's a really interesting topic for me to speak about. So, Jake, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
No problems. Would you like to give a brief introduction, just to sort of explain to people who you are?
So my name's Jake. I'm part of the Sheffield Steelkings Para Ice Hockey Club. Para Ice Hockey, for those that don't know, is a sort of disability-based sport that's actually inclusive to all. So able-bodied and disabled people can play alongside each other. Basically, there's very little in the way of barriers. It doesn't matter what your sort of background is. Basically, you get on and it's a different sort of ice hockey, but it's all the same sport basically.
Awesome, thanks. That's great, mate. It's really cool to have you on. Like we said, we've been speaking about the Pride Games and things like this, and I think the Pride Games obviously started with LGBTQ plus. I think I've got that right. I hope I've got it right. But I think it's stemmed into, this sport truly is for everyone. And it's a really cool thing that we're able to talk about, kind of that disabled people can gain access to playing this sport as well as watching it, which is amazing. Would it be possible for you to give sort of a summary of any significant rule differences for anyone who might want to kind of watch a game after, or anything they need to watch out for that's different to the standard game of ice hockey?
It's fundamentally the same game. Where it varies slightly is our periods are actually slightly shorter. We have 3 15-minute periods, and the breaks are often shorter. We don't normally get an ice cut in between and things like that. And there's a couple of penalties that are a little bit unique. The main one for the nerdy referees out there is teeing, and it's where you basically drive the front of your sledge into somebody else to kind of hit them at making a T shape. Just because it can be kind of dangerous to people with the legs and things like that, the lower body. But no, fundamentally, it's all the same sort of sport. The key difference is that everything is done with your upper body. Basically, para ice hockey, you play in metal sledges, so it doesn't matter whether you kind of if you have some sort of lower body impairment, whether it be as minor as sort of bad knees all the way through to amputation. Maybe you've got spina bifida, cerebral palsy, just anything kind of like that sort of thing. We have lots of people with different backgrounds, different disabilities, but basically you get in a sledge and then it's all done with your upper body. So it's a very much an equalizer, and that's one of the main reasons why it's so inclusive, to be honest, because actually all that lower body power is taken away and it all has to be done from up top. And actually, depending on people's disabilities and impairments, actually it depends how good you are. Like in everyday kind of sport, somebody who's missing both their legs might not be the best suited for sport. Whereas in this, if they're missing both their legs, they can turn on a 10-pence piece. So they're the nippiest ones around. So it's a real trade-off of skill and ability across the team. And it's a really inclusive sport. And like you spoke about right there at the start, our main mantra, not just Steelkings, but the sport generally, is hockey's for everyone. And like I say, I have yet to see another sport that's as inclusive as para ice hockey, just because it doesn't matter what your background, your sort of sexual orientation, your disability, whether you're able-bodied, ethnicity, none of it matters. You just get in a sledge and you play the game, and it's amazing, really. And you meet a great bunch of people doing it as well.
It's something that, I'll be brutally honest, I haven't seen so much of, and it was in researching for this podcast that it became kind of very clear to me how much of a community is there, and how it means more to the people that are involved in it, from players down to all the way up to spectators. That it's a really amazing thing to see within the sport itself. And what about the league? How is the league itself? Is it quite competitive? Is it more friendly? Like, how is it, would you say?
It's very competitive. Because it's one of those things that, and I'd say this a lot, that we're the minority sport within a minority sport of ice hockey. So there's a certain element of camaraderie there, and yet, Sheffield versus Manchester, who doesn't love a good, War of the Roses type rivalry? It's that kind of thing. So there's a lot of sort of respect for each other, and like I say, we all know what we're going through in terms of playing and coaching and getting the teams on the ice and things like that. There's obviously quite an expense involved in terms of the equipment and things like that. So there's this mutual understanding and respect, but there's also lovely, healthy rivalry, which everybody wants in sport as well, don't they?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it would be a bit naff if it was if there was no rivalry at all. Yeah, it is necessary, and obviously Sheffield is arguably, and I'll probably get criticised for saying this, but it's the epicenter of ice hockey in the UK. I would argue. With how does that affect the popularity of the sport of para ice hockey? Would you say is it does it attract more people? Is it more people interested, or would you say it's kind of got an equal popularity all over the country?
I would say it's an equal sort of footing. It's a difficult one to answer because you're right in that Sheffield very much has a lot of hockey that goes on. The flip side to that is that you also vie for that space. If you were the sort of the lone team within an area and you could pull that community in, whereas sometimes too much choice actually can be a bad thing. So we do well in the fact that there's a lot of hockey fans around. But if you know anything about Sheffield, there's a lot of time people sit on either the Steelers sidelines or they sit on the Steel Dogs sidelines, and then you've got the sort of lower league, and it's kind of sometimes it's difficult to break down those barriers because the Steelers get thousands of people every week, but that doesn't necessarily mean it trickles down just over the road to Sheffield to the Steel Dogs and lower and things like that. So one of the main reasons we have such good success really is I suppose we're very open and honest and transparent about what we try to do. We use our social media platforms to kind of really show people that we're here and what we're about, and we try to give back as well. I know that sounds silly, but we're only a small team, but we recently had a Pride game as well to sort of tie in because again, that hockey for everybody is our mantra anyway, even before it kind of became, I don't want to say a popular thing to do, but it's always been our thing. But admittedly, we have decided to kind of really push the agenda more to kind of, because we always knew it, but we want to kind of also show it a lot more. So we kind of said, if anybody comes down and buys something from our merchandise desk, we'll give you a free car sticker that was a Pride special kind of sticker. And it just kind of one of those things where it kind of gets our name out there. It shows what we're about in terms of the hockey's for everybody. And people get a bit of something for free. And they're watching the game for free as well. So, it's actually cost them very little to come down and have a great Friday night, couple of hours of entertainment. So we kind of win from that point of view, and people kind of come down and we kind of break down all the barriers when people finally kind of go, actually, yeah, let's go and check it out. And they go, oh, wow, actually, this is much more skilled. This is much sort of faster. It's physical. Some people have this, I say this a lot, unfortunately, but there's this misconception about people with disabilities that they must be made of glass or something, that if they've got something wrong with them, they're broken in some way. And it's just not the case, and actually it's great to see people with a bit of a chip on their shoulder going at it with other people like that. It's the feisty sort of hockey that actually, there's a real kind of, it's a shame where our hockey has gone. It's become a lot more skill-based hockey throughout the world, and actually there's something really nice still about nitty-gritty, good hard hits, and like I say, it's such an equalizer. So it's great to see people of all levels and ability just sort of going at it and knocking 10 shades out of each other. It's great, yeah. And it comes across. People, our crowds get bigger and bigger slowly, each time, and we're actually really good entertainment for the kids as well, and that kind of helps. Like it's amazing how many kids we come down, and they love the fact that they're actually watching people with disabilities, but they don't because they've got that child awareness where they don't see the diversity in it. They just go, oh, these people playing hockey, and that's really lovely. That's one of the big things that I really love. And yeah, so it's great that we've got this kind of huge pool of hockey fans. We're just still trying to chip away at kind of getting people down to the rink when we do it. But like I say, every year we seem to get bigger and bigger crowds, so it's great.
Yeah, that is really cool. Actually, to be honest, that's great. You've answered my next question really with this, actually, because it's you could talk all night, and if I don't have to answer questions, makes my day. That's it's I was going to say, because it's quite a new club, really. Is it 2016? I think founded
2014.
14,
So
sorry, yeah, 2014.
yeah, we're still technically the newest club around Sheffield. Manchester had a rebrand. They were part of the well, sort of had the same name as the Phoenix, Manchester Phoenix, when they were around a few years ago. But obviously, when the Phoenix went sideways, they kind of changed. So they've been around longer than us, but the name changed to kind of get the refresh. But yeah, officially, we're still the youngest club in the league. But it hasn't stopped us, that, to be honest, because we kind of came in with fresh ideas, and actually we're now the biggest club in the league. And it's not sort of bravado saying that. We now have 2 teams, which is kind of unheard of for our league, because we're only a small league, but we had so much interest in the way that we kind of share and get everybody in. And, we went from strength to strength very quickly. And, we kind of have enough players now where we can actually have like a development team and a senior team. Both those teams compete in the league, and I'm going to sidetrack here slightly, but I have this goal of, eventually I want to introduce a junior team in Sheffield, and I'd love to see sort of disabled juniors go from the junior section where they just have a bit of fun, learn the fundamentals, go into our development squad, then make it into our senior squad, and then hopefully one day they go on to represent their country, representing Great Britain, either in the male or the female squad. And that's kind of the big picture that I'm going to try and build towards the future. But going back a question, when I said, ice hockey in Sheffield is so popular, that's what we have to compete with, because ice is very limited. So it's very difficult. So it's one of the other reasons why we have to kind of build our popularity and kind of show people what we're all about, because eventually when we introduce these programs, we also need to make it work financially in terms of, how we're going to cover the, it's the fine line of what's a pipe dream and what's going to be reality, and how we actually make it happen. But I'm determined that we will make it happen one day.
Yes, it's really cool. And I think it says a lot about the sport that's something that's, the dream, the dream's moved clearly there, that where an organized structure where players come through, filter through up to the top is, that's fantastic. It's a really good way of looking at it, and a good aim to have. Definitely. Yeah. That's really amazing. And obviously, like you say, it's the biggest team in the league. What's been the success? What's caused that success, do you think? What's been
It's many factors, if I'm honest. This is not to blow smoke for me, but I treat the Steelkings honestly. It's the second job I don't get paid for. Basically, it's like my full-time job that I do just out of the love of it. So I put a lot of time in, but that also, we've built this really good group of volunteers, and the team, obviously, that when they come in, they buy into what we're about, because we've given them that opportunity, and they kind of see that, and it sort of rolls downhill. And there's a lot of encouragement in terms of obviously when you join, tell the world about it, and people do. We don't have to overly encourage that, because they suddenly find themselves involved in a sport they didn't realize they loved, until they joined us. We've worked really hard in terms of trying to get kind of grants and sponsors. Social media as well is a really big thing. It's a juggernaut of a thing now, but obviously in 2014, we were kind of trying to kind of get ourselves going. We pushed really hard then, and even like through the pandemic, when all the hockey was off, we were still trying to kind of push things forward to kind of keep our visibility there and things like that. And we're not afraid to kind of again push things forward, advertise ourselves, be part of even shows like this. I do it because I want to talk about the club, because the more people I can reach, the more people that understand, the more people that might then follow the Steelkings. Not just the Steelkings, but the league as well. I do it for the love of the sport, and the more people that I can get to kind of filter in and find their local club, that might go down and support them watching their games, it just builds and builds, and that's kind of what I'm all about, and how I feel like the Steel Kings has had this huge success because it's kind of sort of infectious. What's the word? You know, pushing it forward. Everybody's got the same goal. You know, so it's not difficult once people kind of understand what we're about, and actually they go, no, we get what you're on about. We get your passion. So, you know, it spreads. It's like wildfire. You know.
And you are right. It's about just getting people to see it. If they can see it, if they engage with it, I don't think there's very many hockey fans in the UK that wouldn't watch a game and go, oh well, actually there's something here for me. I can get into this, because it's a fantastic sport. Like, obviously I watched a bit of the Pride game, and it seemed to me that there was action from the first, like true to hockey across the board. There was action from the first, I think within the first 30 seconds or minute, you know, like in terms of just on goal, great save. It was very dramatic, you know. And,
I was worried it was going to be a one shot and in. Yeah. I thought we're going to have to step up a little bit here. No, it was great, and to be honest, actually, from a neutral point of view, it was a great game because it went backwards and forwards. You know, we had a kind of top line and second line against each other, so it was really entertaining, you know, and great to see so many different people with different abilities out there, and you know, everybody working hard. Like I say, some great saves, some great shots on goal, some good hits. You know, it was. You know, a little bit of everything, you know, and it was great. And like I say, it's just nice that we can kind of put that on for people to come down and, like yourself, hopefully come down and enjoy and take it away and go, oh, I'm watching that again. You know, that's what I want.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's something I will say that I will, for anyone who's interested, I will put a link in this podcast. So if anyone wants to watch it, they're more than welcome, because it's all free on YouTube as well, which is the nice thing. It makes it nice. You know? Yeah.
I feel like I should put a disclaimer out. We had some technical issues with our camera on this one, so it kind of bounced out of focus a couple of times. I have edited it together, but it's not the prettiest picture. But there are other games on there as well, and like I say, the games are recorded. They're on YouTube, like you say, and then of course all our games, when we have them, they're all free, so people can come down and watch themselves, things like that. So yeah, drop a link in if anybody wants to come down and watch free hockey. Keep an eye on our socials, because, like I say, we're always pushing it. Yeah,
well, that's a really cool thing as well, that it's free. You know, like if somebody has their, you know, they've got their kids, they don't know what they're going to do for themselves. That's a great little evening out, or great day out to go and watch ice hockey, which is really cool as well. Yeah.
It's true, because I mean, obviously everything's going up in this day and age, you know, and we're still offering something for free, and it is free entertainment. And like I say, we put some merchandise out, and actually that kind of helps us, because people are more inclined to have a go on the raffle or the 50-50 or something like that. And it's just nice. Like I say, we just make a little bit of money back from that and get our name out a bit further. But you know, fundamentally, what we're offering is just a free product that people can come down and enjoy, and we're just having a great time on the ice.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's a really key thing. And what about obviously you have your plans for the future, in terms of developing kind of like, you know, a structure in which young players can come in and go from there. Is it something that you're getting support with from your venue and things like that, from the arena? Are they quite accommodating when it comes to ice time, things like that, for you guys to train, or how does that work out?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great relationship with Ice Sheffield. It's admittedly, it's been one of those things where they helped us out in the very early days, kind of in believing in this program, allowing it to sort of start up, and then we became the Steel Kings, and they were offering us reduced ice time, and then unfortunately the pandemic hit, so that kind of scuppered everything, because they had to kind of put the prices up and things. I mean, admittedly, I will sort of say that we're good payers as well, you know, so like we've never given them a reason to kind of, you know, question, you know, we pick up extra ice when we can afford it, and when it sort of suits our players and things. We, again, in the same way that we talk about promoting ourselves, you know, we tell them, it's like, oh, we've got Channel 4 coming down today, and we've got BBC coming down today, and they're kind of like, great, tell us what you need, because they know that if they help us, it makes it, and they're all in the background, and we're out to kind of show them in the best light, so it kind of helps us as well. And they say the more we've been there over the years, the more the staff have got to know us and know what we're about. They can see, they've been on this journey with us, whether they've known it or not. And actually, a lot of the staff are very, very helpful. So, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I always wish there was more, because if they were prepared to leave me the keys, I'd be on the ice right now, and I'd lock up at about 3 a.m. and come out, because I love the ice. So that's, if I was going to gripe, I was like, leave me the keys, leave me a set of keys. I'll look after the ice for a bit overnight. Don't worry. That's my only negative. They don't trust me with a set of keys.
Well, there we go. Yeah, well, maybe after this they might. I don't know. Look, honestly, Jake, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking about this amazing sport, and kind of opening it up to people who hopefully opening it up to people who haven't seen it or maybe haven't really kind of engaged with the sport much. And I really hope that from this, a few people might click on your on the YouTube link below and go from there. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, mate.